answer it in form of, so for example, the medication, like for example, Ozempic versus research semaglutide. Ozempic, according to Novo Nordisk, they are using the way they create semaglutide is yeast derived. So they get a yeast and they genetically modify the yeast actually, and then they make the yeast formulate and create sema by some bioengineering moves. Then they extract the semaglutide from the yeast. So it's a type of synthesizing technique. Whereas, these bulk manufacturers, there are multiple ways to get to the same product. You can do yeast derived. You can actually do E. coli bacteria derived. It doesn't have to be E. coli. It could be B. subtilis derived. So there's different vectors. You can do it via synthetic formation, various forms of synthetic formation. But what I think when it comes to, we were talking earlier about like patents and patenting life, is the issue with regulators due to how it's been created? Because if that is the case, then we're going to see a bifurcation of, okay, this is bacterial divide and then derived, and let's see if it's just as potent as yeast derived. Which in the States we're having that question right now when it comes to compound, because some compounds manufacturers, where they're sourcing, there is a FDA list, and some of them are bacterial derived, some of them are yeast derived, and so that's where Novo Nordisk is like, hey, the ones that are yeast derived, because these telehealths are basically saying that it's comparable to Ozempic, but depending on their API, we don't know if it's bacterial. From the customer standpoint, we don't know if it's bacterial derived or yeast derived. Yeah. And the customer doesn't even know. We just know it's sema. But the FDA is having this concern whether if you're going to claim it's just as comparable to Ozempic, then that means you're using the yeast derived, and therefore you're infringing on the synthesis technique. So
brilliant. So what we see over here, and I don't know what's happening across the pond, but a lot of scientists and doctors are coming onto TikTok now. Yes, they're staying true to their own profession, but a lot more are now actually starting, or they're beginning to talk more about peptides. What have you noticed this, and what is your take on that? Why are they doing that now?
Well, so peptides have been studied since like the 15th century. I mean, peptides are not new. For example, if you've heard of the hormone insulin with type 1 diabetes, I mean, that became a huge thing around World War I. So once we knew, of type 1 diabetes and the lack of insulin, we then, learned that we can create it from yeast and things of that nature. And so peptides are not new. I mean, I have my biochem textbook right here where this was published 2017, and we talked about various forms of medications that are peptide derived. And I think the rage of a certain set of peptides, specifically when it comes to metabolic function, I think the rise of it is due to the current set of medications for decades have not been able to properly address weight loss. And metabolic studies over the past 20 to 25 years have come leaps and bounds. Like, I learned about this, GLP-1 pathway, GIP back then, and it was just, in the trials with Byenda and Exentide and things of that nature. And we learned about the glia monster and how it was, extracted from that and things of that nature. And so I think we're at a pinpoint where all of these peptides have been known on the research side that can help the body, from my studies, which are model organisms that we share homology, similar gene. And so we've done a lot of, cow studies, we've done a lot of lizard studies, and we've seen how we can improve metabolic function with things like MOTS-c, with ACAR, with cyclic AMP, with GLP, GIP, with glucagon. We can reduce insulin sensitivity. I think we're just at this peak. I mean, I think 2025 was the first year in history that the US did not exceed the amount of people in obesity. The previous year, it's just been this, big spike up for, the past 50 years. But 2025 was that tipping point. And I think it's due to the within the public sphere of, celebrity culture and us knowing, what they're doing, and then how it's now in society and people are talking more about it. So I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm like, yay, y'all, y'all know what I'm talking about in my, my biochem textbook. Like, we talk about NAD and MOTS-c all the time. I've worked with it on a petri dish.
Everybody in here, Linda, it finds this subject fascinating, honestly. So you're in the right place. I'm literally hanging on every word because I want to learn as much as I can from people like yourself. That's why it's such a privilege to have someone like yourself in here. And trust me, that's why we've still got 150 people in here. We need 100,000 likes. Everybody, please give Linda a follow because this is awesome. You're in the right place, Linda.
Right.
Next time I'm good at being figures so we can talk about the metabolic pathways, because I feel like when it comes to stalls, like weight loss stalls, for example, people are like, why am I stalling? I'm like, well, there is metabolic reasons why we're stalling. And
Yes.
I want to go over that. And I feel like when you believe in the metabolic pathways and you understand how it works, you're like, okay, this is what's happening now. I'm more in an anabolic state, so I need to build more muscle to then put me out, But we could talk about that later. Sorry, I don't want to get out.
I need to get a load of that from you, Linda, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get swole.
Oh, we could talk about anabolic pathways. Let's go. We will. We get there.
I think in this group, Guy's the only one that wants to grow big. The rest of us we're still in shrink phase.
I want to get big.
Yeah, you're ahead of us.
And there's ways to do both. You can do both. It's possible.
I'm trying to keep lean, vascularity, and increase muscle mass. I'm getting there. It's a learning curve, but I'm slowly getting there.
Yes,
Brilliant.
yes.
So I've got one. I mean, you've covered most of the questions that I was going to ask. So
Oh, sorry.
I'll jump here to question 9. So the 4 branches that peptides are mainly researched for today. Okay. So we've got the metabolic health, the growth, perfect segue there from Guy, the growth hormone signaling peptide, injury recovery, the likes of the Wolverine and so forth. And as we get older, the longevity peptides.
Yes, the longevity. Yes. So, the growth hormones secretagogues. Oh, sorry. Guess someone's by the door.
You get that if you need to. Well, sit tight.
No, my mom got it. Yeah, they're disturbing the dog. Sorry. But okay, so yeah, growth hormone secretagogues. Yes, tesamorelin, ipamorelin, CJC 1295. Also with DAC, because, DAC improves the half-life. With this combination, peptides, where I see it in the future is it's going to be in conjunction with therapy, stem cell therapy, gene therapy. There's going to be better databases for us who are in the field of bioinformatics, where we're mixing machine learning and AI to basically make software 3D models of the receptors to increase binding affinity, because binding affinity also equals half-life. So the better the binding affinity, you're going to see, instead of us taking it once a week, because the half-life is like for MJ's 5 days, SEMA 7 days, we might have things that are half-life 2 weeks, a month, so that there's not, so much of frequency, there's, it's more integrated into our lifestyle. I don't know if you're following the research with stem cell therapy when it comes to type 1 diabetes, but recently, literally this past week, there is a transplant called the islet transplant, where I believe 10 individuals currently have been transplanted with bioengineered islet cells, so that their islet cells in their pancreas can secrete insulin. So, which is, hey, that's a hormone, which is a peptide. So in the future, so right now I'm following, I believe 3 of the 10 people who have received this therapy. And if you see what's going on with their continuous glucose monitor, you can see that their pancreas has, within the past 3 days, it is now secreting insulin. Wow. And the guy, like, I think today's day 4, he was like crying. He was like, oh my God, this is like to not have to inject after every meal, fast acting insulin, slow acting. And so what I saw is the future for those who are suffering from pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, metabolic dysfunction with their mitochondria, especially if you have fatty liver disease, if you have PCOS, if you have metabolic dysfunctions with your mitochondria. A lot of what happens with obesity is our mitochondria becomes fragmented due to the fat cells. Our fat cells fragment our mitochondria, and our mitochondria is the heart of our metabolism. So if you can see on a microscope your mitochondria in bits, like fragmented, yikes, like we need to resuscitate it with what? MOTS-c, with what? GLP, GIP. There's all these different compounds that can help. And in the future, I think me and Taylor were talking one day. Because there's these Chinese manufacturers who have said something like, oh, there's something called bioglutide, which is a, axon 4 receptors, IGF-1, GLP, GIP, and glucagon. But we haven't seen the peptide. We haven't seen how it looks like. And because they haven't put it through the patent process yet. But I was joking with Taylor. I was like, oh, we're going to make a peptide where it's going to be amylin, IGF-1. Well, instead of IGF-1 like them, IGF-1 LR3, the long arm, GIP, GLP, and glucagon, because that's the future, is working on multiple metabolic pathways. So because when you work on one part, what happens is, like, for example, I believe Guyver was saying on one of his videos, people see a lot of fatigue on MJ, especially in the beginning. And I think a lot of people are feeling that 6-to-1 ratio of GIP to GLP. That fatigue can easily get into anhedonia because it's working on our pleasure area of our brain. But if you have something like Retta, where it has that glucagon that's working on your CNS, your central nervous system, you're having the energy output. You're increasing the thermogenic effect of your body. You are increasing your basal metabolic rate. So it's depending on how sensitive, because everyone's different. Some people's hearts are, more sensitive because we have glucagon receptors in our heart. But nonetheless, if you're, the average person, most likely you won't have that much effects with heart rate with Retta. But I just think that the future is like what we see. We started with 1, and then we walk with 2, and we're running with 3, and 4 and 5 are coming, so that the effects of that GIP and the GLP, with the kind of feeling, that overly feeling of fullness and things of that nature, we're going to start regulating these multiple levers in all of these metabolic pathways, which is like, I just want to show and be like, so we could go through the chart, because it's very fascinating, the future. I'm excited for the future.
Right.
Absolutely,
So
me too. The stuff you're going to get better and better and better as time goes on. So the future's definitely bright for a lot of us.
yeah.
I
So
wonder why people are stacking. I think people are stacking because they want that now. And I understand. But I think also, I always tell people to be careful, because sometimes with stacking, like for example, MOTS-C is great. It helps boost your metabolic function with your mitochondria. But one of the side effects with it is that it can interfere with the folate pathway. So it interferes with you absorbing and using folate. So one thing about it is, it's good to cycle. And when it's good to cycle, also when you're off cycle with MOTS-C, supplement with folate, because folate deals with DNA synthesis and DNA methylation, which is very important.
Also, just something on stacking. Always talk to somebody that knows a bit more about peptides, like before you stack, because I've learned a very valuable lesson with Cadbury.
Yeah.
you have, haven't you?
All I will say is I feel sick, because I feel nauseous.
Okay.
Yes, be very careful.
Yeah, this wasn't a question on my.
That doesn't help me now, Linda.
Well, I didn't know you then. I didn't know when you took.
So,
Sorry.
staying in the realm of cycling, when you start any new peptide, is it advisable to always, because peptides react differently, we react differently to it. So what might work for me might not work for either one of you three. So
100%.
So is it then advisable, in your opinion, to always start low and find that sweet spot?
Yes. I mean, before anything, I think everyone needs to get blood work, because we need to know what our deficiencies are. We need to know where our liver enzymes are at. We need to know where our our cholesterol and our triglycerides, because if we're starting something that's going to aid in weight loss, that could cause rapid weight loss, and our triglycerides and cholesterol are really high, you can get a stroke. We don't want that. So I think try to stabilize your biomarkers prior to starting any therapy, any peptide or incretin therapy, is my opinion, because a lot of these side effects and these doom and gloom, I think things that people hear is they started it before knowing their biomarkers. They don't know if they're high in their LDL or HDL or anything like that. And, within a month,
So would a
they suffer
peptide
stroke.
actually
Like, why?
would it actually expose those deficiencies?
Yes, it does, because when you are starting any of these peptides, a lot of it is working on your metabolism. And if your heart wall is weak, for example, that can put a lot of central nervous system stress. It doesn't mean that the peptide was bad per se, or even if you started at the lowest dose, it just means that your body is in such a fragile state, and maybe in order to stabilize some of your biomarkers, we need to just see what they are. For example, if you want to start a growth hormone secretagogue, I highly suggest to get a hormonal panel done, know what your prolactin levels are, especially men, because your prolactin levels, if they're elevated already prior to starting, definitely start to talk to your doctor about ways you can lower your prolactin before getting on a growth hormone secretagogue, because growth hormone secretagogues, as you increase in dose, it could, in some people, increase prolactin. And we don't want, I mean, I don't think guys want gynecomastia. So, you know, so I've actually suffered from high prolactin levels, but that was due to my PCOS. And so my prolactin was increased, as well as some androgens were increased. So
fortunately, we already have the chest, but for men, they would look pretty well. Yeah.
Yes. So pituitary gland health, knowing your pituitary gland health status is very important. I'm an advocate of testing and knowing your biomarkers prior. It's like, I know we hate going to the doctor, and I know you don't want your doctor to judge and be like, oh, you're on, you know, gray market, or you're on this, or you're on that. And, you know, but I think being transparent with them and knowing your biomarkers is the first thing. So then when you do know your biomarkers, you're like, okay, I'm fully confident I can start this on the right foot. And yeah, I with anything, go low and slow. One thing about receptors that I think the masses don't know, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Going straight to, you know, 5 milligrams of Motsy, you know, go. You know?
Yeah, I did. I just thought, Ray, let's blast it, see what happens then. That's what I thought.
I was like, dang,
I was like,
you blasted. You ain't gonna sleep.
No. Yeah, I was quite hot to sleep that night. I was a bit warm.
Yeah, your thermogenesis.
I wasn't surprised.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've just got in the chat. My friend Linda, follow here.
Yeah, please do. I've just got one final question for you. So, what would you say is the biggest misunderstanding that people, or reservations that they have in regards to peptides?
Well, I think there's multiple misconceptions. I think people, whether they're getting it from, you know, manufacturer or gray market, people are worried. I mean, on both sides, I'm worried about quality control, because I've worked in the industry side, and I don't know if y'all heard, but in America, the Catalent facility had cat hair that's making, you know, the Novo Nordisk semaglutide pen. So, you know, even industry can have issues. So quality control all around is an issue, but and should be more transparent on both sides, because I don't see COAs from my pen. But yeah, so I think contamination and you know, for example, if it's 99.5% pure, what is the 0.5%? Some people are worried about, hey, well, you know, I want to make sure I'm having the pure substance, things of that nature. I think another thing is people are uneducated, thinking that, you know, these peptides are going to kill us or going to cause us thyroid cancer. And I have a video about MTC, which is on the black box label for MJ and SEMA. Basically, if you're on a GLP-1 or GLP-GIP and you have a family history of medullary thyroid cancer, that you should get tested for something called a calcitonin test. And so I go over these 2 case studies of these individuals who they didn't know their family history because their families didn't come from places where everyone had a doctor. So because they didn't know their family history, they said, okay, they told their doctor, okay, let me get a calcitonin test. And so calcitonin is a hormone, and we have calcitonin receptors in our thyroid. And it's a simple blood test. And if your calcitonin levels are above 10, or for men, or above 5 for women, then they will do genetic testing to see if you have called the MENS2 gene. And if you have the MENS2 gene, then they'll do a biopsy and see what stage you are possibly for MTC, medullary thyroid cancer. And so before I started this incretin therapy, I started June of 2024, and I had it in my fridge since April of 2023 because I wanted to research and make sure I wasn't part of the demographic of any of the black box labeling, like, for example, this thyroid cancer warning. And so before I took the therapy, I got my baseline calcitonin levels tested. I was at 4. And so therefore, I'm like, okay, I don't have MTC. So then I started the therapy, because what happens is there's a second case study I go over where there's this lady, she was already on an incretin therapy, and she was having some side effects. And so they tested her calcitonin levels. It was above 5. Then they did the genetic testing. They saw she had the MENS2 gene. Then they did a biopsy, and then she was like stage 2. And so then they did the therapy. So, and then since then, there's been other case studies have come out that, just because, you're on incretin therapy, there's now less likely chance that the calcitonin receptors are what's causing the MTC, because basically when you're on a GLP, there is not, with certain individuals, their calcitonin receptors might bind to GLP, which then can proliferate this thyroid cancer. So it's everyone's receptors are shaped differently. So the way that these peptides are created, we're trying to find homology from, I guess, the masses, the mass amount of humans possible. And from there, when we have the I guess the type, the wild type of most humans' receptors of this specific receptor type, then we try to look and see what peptides are affiliated with it. And then hopefully there's going to be more personalization where, this specific GLP-1 agonist will not interfere with the calcitonin receptor, because maybe that lock and key isn't as specific, like what you were saying earlier. It's not acting like a master key. We don't want master keys. We want very specific, tight binding so that it doesn't interfere with other receptors in the body. So more specificity is going to happen in the future. And hopefully personalized medicine, where we have, so this is called proteomics, which is the study of peptides, study of proteins. Then we're going to have genomics, which is the study of DNA. So personalized medicine, understanding your genes. And then we can have DNA fingerprinting, where we can then take a personalized medication, due to us knowing your DNA fingerprint, go in and know, okay, this is a slew of specific modulations of peptides that will be great for you specifically based on your receptor specificity. That's what I see within the next 15 to 20 years, hopefully. But with AI, we might get there faster. So maybe 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point then, and I know you touched on it at the beginning in regards to the importance of testing. And
Hi, Raquel.
And
You're getting a lot of love in the comments, Linda, by the way. A lot of love. People are absolutely like, yeah, I think you're going to have a lot of followers by the time you come off this live, Linda. A lot.
Oh, thank you so much.
Let's run this lady up to 100,000 followers, guys. Let's get this. She deserves to be there.
Thank you.
Right, so I'm going to get off the hot seat or the hot mic. I'm going to introduce Saeed, and if you would, we can talk about the importance of testing.
We're going to finally meet him.
I never met him.
He's a thing. He exists.
He will.
No,
I thought it was another alter ego.
No. So, guys, a warm. You just jump on here. No. You want to go on your? Oh, he wants to go on his own.
Okay.
Oh, let's meet the mystery man.
Shall I mute my mic because we don't cross feed? Yes, you sure?
He comes
The wig and glasses.
Do I have to accept you?
You have to stay there while he comes up because we don't want to. We want to make sure you're not the same person.
Yeah, you're going to go and put a wig on and come back, aren't you? That's what you're going to do.
Okay. Where are you, Saeed? I'm going to go into the thing about the way because I've been shown. Oh no, you're not there, Saeed. Where are you?
BioPulse.
Are you on BioPulse? All right, I got you.
Still working for the niggas.
Here we go.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
You mic?
No, I'll mute you.
Okay. Right. Well, thank you very much, Mo. Round of applause for Mo because he's been very nervous all day today.
We got
First
some
ever live. Right, well, thank you very much. Amazing, Linda. Thank you for all that knowledge that you've shared with us today. And guys, on the daily rankings, I believe we're top 20% today. So, again, well done to everybody here.
We got some.
Right, so we did. Mo did ask a question regarding.
My mic's all the way down. Why don't I just cut off?
Yeah.
There you go. That's it.
Everybody mute mics, and then we'll be fine.
There we go. Sorry, guys.
So if I'll do that, Saeed, quick.
Mute your mic.
There we go. I think we got it all back. Perfect.
Microphone there. That's fine.
Is that done now? Yeah.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Right. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So you off again.
Okay, I'm back.
Right. Right. So really important to basically make sure, like you mentioned before, you don't see COAs for unbranded pens, etc. Linda. So what can our members, what can people out there do to make sure that the quality of peptides are getting is legitimate and the contamination is what are we looking for on the COAs as well?
Saeed, I think there's still an echo, unfortunately.
Why don't I just disconnect?
No, because you're
So everybody needs to mute their mic unless you're talking, because it's only on when we all have our mics on, rather. It was fine before when we had them off.
You're gonna have to. I don't know.
Guys, you can hear me. I can just sort out that. Refuse.
There we go. Yeah.
Let's try that. Be back. Let's try. No, you're not.
Yeah, I don't. You do.
I don't know. You sent it.
So is this here? No, that's not it.
No, you've turned. Go back to your lives.
Oh, you mean here? Sorry. So I want to go into here. No. Oh, homepage. Yeah, I've got it. Got it. Oh, bugger you. Hold on.
Give me a second.
Live. We couldn't watch live stream on this. It's not letting me go now.
Go to the Telegram. The link is in the Telegram. Members.
Was that it there? Can you? Is that here? TikTok.
Yeah, try it.
No.
No.
Couldn't watch live stream on this device. Why?
Okay, that's fine. We'll just leave it as that.
Because you're on the other device. That's why.
No, it doesn't matter.
So you should just come on this.
Guys, can you just give me a 1 in the chat to see if you can still hear us? Yep.